So I knew that at some point I would want to have a conversation with my manager about promotion, because at this point I've stepped up, right? I've taken on stretch assignments. I have shown and proven in my mind, or I was in the process of proving that I was ready for that next level. But for me, if Candace had it her way, like when I'm mapping out my little plans, right? And I'm gonna call them my little plans because that's exactly what they were. I was essentially building up this case so that I could have that conversation with my manager closer to the 1 year mark. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you are in for a treat. Now, let me just go ahead and put this out there. I know if you've seen the title of this video, you may have clicked because you want to know, like, what is the secret formula? Like, how can I get promoted so quickly as well? And I want to let you know right off the bat that this video is not follow these 6 steps and you'll be promoted to. This is much more a video about God's perfect timing. Okay, and so for those of you who are returning guests, let me apologize in advance because I know this video is long overdue. If you've been tracking with me for a while, you may have heard me slip it into another video just casually, like, oh yeah, by the way, I was promoted. I'll come back to that. This is me circling back because I recognize that I started this channel right after I transitioned into this new role at this new company. And even that was just, again, God's perfect timing. I won't even go into all of the specifics, but just know that this role was one of those needle in a haystack roles where it required a very specific skill set. Yes, it's program management, right? Like that is my forte, my bread and butter. I've been a project manager for 10 plus years. And so that part makes sense. But the focus area is something that I had specifically focused in a previous role that essentially gave me the edge, right? And so everything from how the interview process flowed to me starting on my first day, it was a super smooth experience that honestly, I couldn't have drawn it up better myself, which I'm glad that I did not. I'm glad that it was a God thing and not a me thing, because you know how I can be when we start to put our hands in things and try to control situations, and then it just kind of goes left. And so I was very excited to land this role and begin to make my mark. And so I started, and I will say that the onboarding process here was much better than I had seen at any previous company. I was thrilled that like there was a plan laid out for me for things that I need to do across the first 30 days, mostly meeting people, getting to understand the business, getting to know the needs of the stakeholders that I will interface with regularly. It was nice. It was nice not being thrown immediately into chaos, which, I mean, if you are a project manager, you know, tends to happen from time to time. So the first 30 days, it is great. I am learning. I am making some early impact. All's well. And so I don't remember exactly when, but somewhere around 60 days into my new role, things began to shift within the business. So we had some larger programs come in and we needed to adjust our resource allocation for our department. And so for me, I was totally fine because I've started a role where literally I won't say day 2, but week 2 for sure, I'm assigned 8 projects. Like, here you go. Here you go. make it happen. And so having this period where I got the opportunity to just learn and meet people was amazing. But honestly, I was itching to get in there and like just do some things. I am the type of person who I can learn via trainings. I can learn via conversations with people for sure. But the way in which I learn most is through actually doing and trying and not being afraid to fail, which is another video that I'll come back to at another point in time. But like I was ready, right? I was ready to do some things. And so while I'm running my programs, I also start a side project aimed at improving product quality. So I am rocking and rolling and things are going well. And then there was yet another shift. In this moment, listen, me and God are having some conversations because again, I had shift number one and it's like, okay, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for this. Like I'm ready to get back in there. But when this shift happened and I was going to have to take on even more things, I'm like, all right, Lord, talk to me. Talk to me. Let me know what's going on here because right now I see challenges and obstacles. And God is honestly so good with his gentle nudges, if you will, because he's like, yes. That's one way to look at these, right? You can look at these as obstacles or you can look at them as opportunities. And so honestly, at that time, I was at a place in my walk with the Lord where I'm just like, bet, like it's easy to say that, I went back and forth and I wrestled with it. But in this instance, I really did not. I'm like, okay, these are opportunities. Bet, let me go all in. Let me do what I need to do then. So I knew that at some point I would want to have a conversation with my manager about promotion because at this point, I've stepped up, right? I've taken on stretch assignments. I have shown and proven in my mind, or I was in the process of proving that I was ready for that next level. But for me, if Candace had it her way, like when I'm mapping out my little plans, right? And I'm gonna call them my little plans because that's exactly what they were. I was essentially building up this case so that I could have that conversation with my manager closer to the 1 year mark. And it's because essentially the way that we do promotions, they have 2 promotion cycles, one earlier in the year, one later in the year. The one later in the year happened to line up with my 1 year work anniversary. And so, me, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, this is how it's gonna go. Well, fast forward 1 month, I'm having a conversation with my manager and she lets me know that she is putting me up for promotion. And of course, there's a whole process that this has to go through, right? In order to get approved and for it to become a real thing. But in that moment, I was celebrating just the fact that my manager saw me. She saw the work that I was doing. She saw the work ethic. She saw the skill. She saw the willingness to go the extra mile. And she decided she was going to do something about it. That in and of itself was worth celebrating for me because, now listen, I've had mostly good managers throughout my career, but you only gotta have one. You only gotta have one that is not quite right to make you have an appreciation for someone who is a good leader. Not everybody deserves a leadership title. Not everybody deserves a leadership role. That's another video. But to have someone who saw in me ahead of like when I thought it was like, you map out your plan. You here's the accolades I'm gonna share. Here's what I'm gonna say as my rationale, and I'm gonna let them know that I want to be promoted. But in this case, I had no intention of bringing this to this conversation because I had only been there a few months, right? And so as I mentioned at the top of this video, this was just a reminder for me of God's perfect timing. I don't know about y'all, but sometimes it is easy to get so caught up on what's next that we're not really truly being faithful to the now. When I had that moment of that second shift and I'm like, all right, Lord, all right. And he corrected my thinking and to look at the amazing opportunity. It's one of those, like, rather than I have to, because that's what I think we think a lot of times when we are in our current position. It's, I have to do this, I have to do that. And the Lord really spoke to me around getting to do these things. I get the opportunity to be visible to our leadership team. I get the opportunity to work on a project that has company-wide impact. I get the opportunity to showcase my skills and expertise because I am new. So I bring fresh perspective. It's so easy to miss the opportunities if you're so focused on the perceived challenges or obstacles. And added bonus, if you watch my previous video on self-sabotage, I am happy to say that I have been in this new promotion for almost 4 months now. And guess who was doing it, right? Guess who is not currently looking for roles on LinkedIn? Like me, I'm doing it. And so I hope that this video encourages you. I hope it reminds you that God don't need a lot of time. He don't need a lot of time. He doesn't need a lot of runway. He can make something real quick, right? Like, again, I think when people think about, on average, coming into a new role and trying to get promoted within 1 to 2 years is what's typical. And so just recognizing that we don't have a typical God, right? We don't serve a typical God. Like, he can switch things up in an instant, right? Like, for me, it all felt so quick. I will not lie. Like, I felt like I learned, I got onboarded, I took on programs, and then suddenly I'm promoted. Like, that's what it felt like going through that process. And so I want to encourage you, if you have some obstacles at work, I wonder what the opportunity is in there. And this is not to say, let me be very clear, I've had some challenges that were dead ends and they went nowhere. I want to be very clear, but I encourage you to press in. I encourage you to ask the Lord what he might be doing in and through you in this season. I encourage you to give your plans to God. Allow him to order your steps. He directs our path. The word tells us that. And so if you will kind of let go of your plans, just a tad bit, let go of your plans and allow God to move you where he needs you to be able to work through you in the way that he's going to get the glory, right? Because I cannot make this up. I cannot take credit. Although people at work might say, oh, Candace, you did a great job. Look at you stepping up. You got promoted. I am 1000% sure. I know that this does not happen. This would have not happened if it were not for me letting go of what Candace had planned and leaning into where the Lord was leading me. All right, so if you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments and share with a friend who might need this same message.